I can hear something calling. It's calling me every day. If taking a chance is a crime, then I've got hell to pay. I've been walking the streets in my mind, trying to find a new day. Keep on searching until I will find, until I find a new way. I'm gonna say something, I hope you don't mind. It's time to rearrange. I walk round in circles, I'm going nowhere. It's time to make a change.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I am your host, Charles Wallace, and welcome to the Bear Essentials podcast. As we continue on our journey to build a stronger community, I'm very excited to share with you all the Kindness Alliance, which is a unique free of charge advertising initiative looking to support businesses that share in our core values. Each episode will look to spotlight a different member, celebrating their contributions and dedication to kindness. Would you like to get involved? Just visit the Kindness Alliance section on our website, www.thebearessentialspodcast.com, or just send me a message. And now, a huge thank you to this week's Kindness Alliance member.
Hi, Joel Maurer, founder of Dink Ninjas. Dink Ninjas was dreamed up and started right here in Austin, Texas, a dynamic pickleball community. We arm pickleballers with the paddles, apparel, and accessories to dink like a ninja. Dink Ninjas is dedicated to supporting mental health awareness and cancer research. Shop our full lineup at dinkninjas.com.
Hey Scott, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, Charles. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is when I saw got connected with you on LinkedIn, and I was very, very intrigued by what you do. Myself being a huge fan of soccer, football, as you guys call it over there, I thought this would be really, really good. And then once we get into what your role is in football over there in the UK, I think it even fits the podcast and what I'm trying to do even more. So with that, would you mind giving a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Scott Rogers. I'm the current head coach of the England Amputee National Team. So my background really was as a teacher and educator, and running alongside that, I was kind of building a kind of a coaching career as well, which I've always seen really as more of a hobby. So I've been a teacher now for 20 years, which has been great. And throughout that period, like I said, I've been building my my coaching career, getting my coaching badges with the FA. And I've had some amazing experiences off the back of that as well, coaching at a number of academies within England. That's for able-bodied players. And over the last 8 years, I've actually started to build a business, which is a residential childcare business, which has enabled me now to step away from teaching and dedicate more time to my coaching as well. So that's a very, very quick whistle-stop tour of what I've been up to.
No, that's fantastic. And it definitely had me intrigued. Be honest with you, Scott, I didn't even know what you did as far as the amputee team even existed. So when I saw that, I was very, very intrigued. And I mean, beyond being intrigued, I mean, what an inspiration they are for people. I just want to give a quick shout out here, having an amputee on from over in the UK, triple amputee, Mark Ormrod. I thought, be great to get you on and talk about that a little bit. So thanks again. Let's start a little bit back though. Let's start, if you wouldn't mind, looking into your career, I'll say, but I was curious as far as, could you share some insights from your childhood in Blackpool and how growing up there influenced your passion for football?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up with my mum and dad and brother in a seaside town in the northwest of England called Blackpool. Had an amazing childhood, really supportive parents. We've always been a very sporty family. Me and my brother both heavily into sport. My dad heavily into sport. He was a football manager of a local team, and I've actually played for my dad's team, which had its positives and negatives. but yeah, we've always been encouraged. I know every game that we've ever played, every event we've been to, we always had our parents there supporting us, and I think that gave me a huge foundation to go on and achieve what I have, really.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, different level over here, but, growing up, my dad, he was the assistant coach for my soccer team. And, over here, that meant his kids just kick the ball as far as you could and chase it while your parents yelled, go get it. But I get where you're coming from. So I'd like to ask you this. Who were your early football idols and how did they shape your approach to the game, both when you played and now as a coach?
Yeah, it's interesting. So my idol growing up was Paul Gascoigne, Gazza as he's affectionately known here. Probably more famous for his off the field antics now than his on field, but he was an incredible player, a maverick. I know we talk about mavericks in sport, which I think is really important, and I think he was certainly somebody I looked at as just somebody who could do something different, change a game, and a real leader as well. And throughout my life, I've always kind of gravitated towards leadership roles. And I suppose fundamentally, I'm a failed footballer. So I had a number of trials for different clubs over in England. I had a reasonable semi-professional career, but I really, my playing side is a story of a failed footballer. It's all I ever wanted to do. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for me in the professional game. But what I did have was leadership qualities that people saw. So whether that was my district team or whether it was my grassroots team or whatever team I played for, I seemed to gravitate towards that leadership role within captaincies and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Paul Gascoigne because I still vividly remember I believe it was Italian 90 some of the games he had during that tournament. And just recently I was reading a bit about how he's the one player that Sir Alex Ferguson said he regrets never having a chance to manage and how he almost went to United but didn't. So yeah, really, really, really someone I always watched growing up. So interesting that you mentioned him. So you say a fouled footballer. In saying that, I'm curious though, what for your football career playing out into coaching, you touched on a little bit, but could you maybe talk a little bit about, the support from your family as I can only imagine, it's the only thing you want to do. I would believe that really will require having a lot of support from your family.
yeah, I mean, it's the travel, it's getting to places, it's the finance of it as well, which can be quite draining if you're traveling long distances, petrol in car, and so on and so forth. But I think it's important that you have that support, not only from that kind of financial perspective, but also to kind of guide you and offer you advice. And with my dad being involved in the game as well, I really valued that. I never had parents who were pushy. They never pushed us into certain things. We just enjoyed doing different types of sports and we were always encouraged to do it. I think probably one regret for me is almost put all my eggs in one basket with football. And I often think if I was to gone down the other route of trying different sports and maybe giving a bit more time to different sports, where could that have gone? Because I feel I was almost a jack of all trades but master of none almost. And I just felt I was very, very confident with my football and I was confident I would make it. And when I didn't, it was incredibly disappointing. But now with a coach's head on, I can look back and kind of understand why I probably lacked a little bit of pace for the modern game. Always had ability and always had that kind of desire to want to do well. But probably ultimately, ability-wise, that's what probably let me down and a lack of pace, I'd say.
I hearing you say that, I think that's really important though for folks that are listening and watching, because I think, Scott, it sounds like when you look back, you do a really honest self-assessment of yourself. Um, how do you think today, I think it's important, how do you come to grips with that to sometimes admit to yourself, you know what, in a constructive way, you know what, maybe I didn't have it, because most people, I think, either they're afraid to do that self-assessment because they're afraid what it might find, or they just they just don't want to do it. I mean, how important would you say in any walk of life it is for people to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me a number of years to get to a point where I can reflect on that. It hurt for a number of years, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my life after it was apparent that the football wasn't going to work. So that was quite a bit of a scary position to be in. But I think experience, knowledge, talking to others, which you only get through time, really gives you that opportunity to go back and really reflect on disappointments, I suppose.
So that being said, when you do that self-assessment, when you think about yourself really wanting to be a player, what's that pivotal moment where you go, you know what, maybe that didn't work out, but I think I can add something and I want to pursue coaching?
Yeah, so I got to the point where I went to university, and by that point, it was looking. I was playing semi-professional football. I was getting a little bit of money for doing that, which was quite nice. And then it was around that time, and that was probably around, I don't know, 1997, where I thought, you know, it's not going to happen. So what next? And I always knew I wanted to work in sport, but I wasn't really sure of where or what that would. It wasn't coaching at that time. So I decided to go and do a sports science degree at university, which will give me that option to look at all sorts of different things within sports science, whether that's physiotherapy, whether it'll be coaching, whether it be teaching, and it gave me that kind of breadth to try different things. A pivotal moment for me is I went over to the USA actually in 1999 coaching. It was just summer camps and what have you. And as part of that, I was asked to go and teach a few coaching clinics at universities and some college teams, which that was the spark, really. That's when I kind of understood that, you know what, that although the playing didn't work out, this is almost second best, but I enjoy it. And it was probably from about 1999 onwards that switch happened, and it was about the coaching then rather than the playing.
And Scott, when it comes to the coaching and you talk about the clinics and coaching clinics, things like that, how difficult is it sometimes to, teach other individuals who are trying to coach? Is that well received, or do you sometimes find that, it's a little bit of clashing of ideas and mindsets when it comes to that?
Is that with players, you mean?
With other people who want to coach?
Yeah, well, I think I'm quite open-minded with my coaching, and I think I've definitely evolved as a coach over the years, and that has come through observing other coaches, speaking to other coaches. And I think if any coaches think my way is the right way and everything else is wrong, then they're in the wrong game, really. I think it's important. I don't think any coach should get to a point where they think I'm the finished article now and I know everything, because it certainly isn't the case. And I think it's one of them industries as well where you can look at incredibly experienced coaches and take something from it, but you can also watch inexperienced coaches and take something from that as well. So you never stop learning. And yeah, I've not come across many, to be honest, who we clash with in terms of styles. You can always have conversations. I think this, I think that, and that's fine. I think that's healthy, but I certainly haven't clashed with anybody.
And I always look at it in a lot of sports, but I think especially in football, when it comes to coaching, I think there's a tactical side of it, and I think there is especially for coaches at the highest levels. I think you're really navigating a lot of personalities and a lot of egos. How do you kind of blend that all together when you're coaching, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I've had a bit of a shift, really, because for probably 20 years working with able-bodied academies, my remit was to develop young players. So I almost didn't see myself as a coach at that point. I was almost a soccer teacher. And that shifted over the last 4 years. We've working with the England Amputee team, because now I'm preparing teams to win football matches. Now that's a completely different angle, and it's something I'm really enjoying at the moment. But for me, it's about creating an environment where players are comfortable to make mistakes. That's a big thing for me, and that's both with developing young players and looking at the tactical side of the game and looking to win football matches. Shared vision is huge, so I think it's important to be honest with players and open and give them absolute clarity on what you want from them. And sometimes that will mean a difficult conversation, but I think honesty is certainly the key. And once you've been given that honesty and you've got that shared vision, you can then look at how the players fit into that. Some players will need an arm around the shoulder. Other players might need a little bit more of a sterner talking to. But I think by working with them players, you start to understand what each player needs. And as an effective coach, it's important that you can manage them different personalities as well.
Yeah, and Scott, just hearing you during that small segment there, I just kudos to you. The leadership just really jumps off you. It really does. And I think when you hear that back, when I play that back and we listen to it, I think we could interchange any walk of life or industry into what you just said. I think it was you captured the essence of leadership, and congrats for that. That's really, really well done. I appreciate wholly what you said there, and I think a lot of people will get a lot from that. One last, well, not one last, but one other thing I want to ask you, and I'm curious from somebody at your level, who do you look up to now in the game as, you know, the epitome of coaching, managing when it comes to football?
Yeah, well, I think everybody looks to the Pep Guardiolas of this world, and I certainly do as well. I think he's a master tactician, but also understands the players as well. If you look at the decisions he's made over a number of years, he's probably had to get rid of some very, very high quality players because they don't fit the culture. And that's something I've developed over the last 4 years for certain. I think culture is everything. And you have to make difficult decisions in that. Certainly with the England Amputee team, we've lost players along the way who don't fit that culture. But I think in terms of our development as a group and our ultimate goal, which is to win a major tournament, that's certainly benefited that. But it's about making difficult decisions. So Pep Guardiola certainly one. I'm not somebody who stands on the side of the pitch and barks orders. I'll certainly guide players. But for me, it's about the players making their own decisions on the pitch. My work really comes at within the training, on the training pitch. It becomes at half times or timeouts, as we have in amputee football. And I will guide from the side, but I want a team who can make their own decisions effectively, consistently. And that's really important.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, a lot of people look to him, and, you know, even though it pains me to say it, Man City as an example of what they aspire to be. All right, so how, from coaching in the academies with able-bodied individuals, how do you then transition, and what are some of the adjustments that you have to make in order to transition to coaching the England Amputee football team?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Charles. And it was one I was a bit worried about when I got involved in the sport. So I'd had 12 months out of coaching at the time. I was setting up my business and making sure that was going well, and still working full time as a teacher. So I had the opportunity to interview for a first team coach role at the England Amputee setup. And the first question I ask is, where do I pitch these sessions? I'm obviously working with elite players currently, able-bodied players. Do I simplify sessions? And the answer to that question was, you do exactly the same as what you do with the able-bodied players, no difference. And that's exactly true. That's my experiences of it. The only thing that does change slightly is terminology. So where I might say to an able-bodied player, receive on your back foot, obviously there isn't a back foot with an amputee player. So it's just about looking at your terminology. But in terms of the sessions, in terms of information, in terms of expectations and standards, they're absolutely no different.
And Scott, for when I first read the term the England Amputee football team, I mean, I was blown away by it, because you know, I think more and more we see amazing stories of individuals overcoming extremely great odds and doing amazing things. But I started to look at it like picturing a team of individuals like that, and how that, do you ever find yourself sometimes during coaching, during a game, just getting almost caught up in the, I can't believe that they're out here doing this and performing to this level?
Yeah, without a doubt, particularly at the beginning when I first started coaching them, that was certainly the case. That happened virtually every session. The biggest compliment I can pay this team at the moment is, as I'm coaching them currently now, I forget they've got a disability. I just coach as I would normally coach. But I think the last time I kind of had that feeling is we were lucky enough to play in the first ever Nations League tournament back in June last year. We played against Turkey, who got 6 professional leagues. It's an incredibly big sport over there. They sell out stadiums, so they're seen as kind of the world, well, they are the world champions currently. So we played them. They hadn't been beat in open play since 2016. We played Poland, who have professional leagues as well. They were the Amp Cup champions at the time, and Spain, who knocked us out of the previous European Championships. So they were seen as the top, and us as well, seen as the top 4 teams in Europe. So in some ways, we were going into that competition as the 4th favourites. And we went into that and we beat all 3 teams and we lifted that trophy, which was an incredible experience and our first major trophy in over 34 years. Now, at that point, when we lifted that trophy, I just took a moment and stepped back and watched these boys and watched the smiles on their faces and thought, many of these never thought they'd ever play football again, let alone represent the country and go and lift a major trophy. And that was a real emotional moment for me, that one.
And Scott, as that happens, do you ever kind of come full circle with your, you said about being a failed footballer? Do you ever think at that point, you know what, maybe I wasn't a failed footballer, or maybe it was just, this was meant to be my purpose, and now the purpose was bigger than myself and my own aspirations?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, you've hit the nail on the head there, Charles. I've thought that on a number of occasions. This is me now. This is what I want to do. And I think all them leadership qualities I was picking up along the way, being made captain for my grassroots team, my school team, and so on and so forth, this was all building towards the role I'm in now. I certainly believe that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, hearing your story and the passion of how you wanted to play and what you wanted to do, I just think it's amazing to take all of that and then be that ripple to all these other individuals and create such a moment, help be a part of and create such a moment for them. So I do have to ask, when you first started coaching, was there any moments where you were kind of like, what am I getting into? I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, I think with anything, as soon as you start something, you've not got that kind of experience and knowledge to draw on. So you're going into something new. Yes, you've got a slight knowledge of it because you've played the game, but are the players going to listen? Are they going to buy into what I'm trying to do? Are the people above me watching me and judging me and thinking, well, is he ready for this? And yeah, so it's tough, it's difficult. And I think I've evolved a lot as a coach. I think at the beginning, I was probably more of a drill coach. So the sessions were put on to make me look good as a coach. Lots of different coloured cones out and the players run here and run there and receive there. And it all looks great and all singing and all dancing. Was that coaching and developing the players? No, I don't believe so. Looking back, I think what we were doing is producing players who could perform that drill well. But when we went to the game itself, could they transfer them skills? The answer was no. So I've become more of a player coach now. So I'll set sessions up for certain things and replicate the game as much as I can. And then when you go to the 11-a-sides or 7-a-sides, whatever it may be, then they've gathered them skills through repetition of the game itself. So yeah, I think at first there was a lot of nerves going from almost teaching football within a school to going into an elite academy and being told they're going to coach them under 17s and prepare them for a first team. Very daunting, but a brilliant experience throughout.
You touched on some things there, so it brought this to mind, and I can only imagine, and it kind of goes to that leadership and even the psychology of coaching. Is there different challenges in trying to balance the physical and emotional challenges that the amputee players face, and how do you, as an able-bodied individual, try to put yourself in their shoes, so to speak, and be that person that they need?
Yeah, and again, what I said before, honesty, just complete honesty with the players. We have an amazing structure with the amputees as well. So we've got sports psychologists who work with the players regularly as well. I like to be involved in every facet of the program as well. Although we have got departments for sports science, we've got departments for psychology and all sorts of different things, medical. I do like to be involved in each one and take an interest in the players. So I'll make sure on a weekly basis that we speak to the players. I'm on the phone to the players. I understand where they are. And I think I've created an environment now where if players aren't happy or they want to speak to us about anything, we're approachable and they can do that. We talk regularly about the process. We've got robust processes in place where the players can speak to psychologists, can speak to me, can be honest, and we know we can be honest with each other. And I think that's been a large part of our success. But yeah, it's all back to what I said before, Charles, the environment and the culture that you create. Hopefully everything kind of falls into place in and around that.
Yeah, no, and I think what you just spoke about there, again, it's amazing to me, but it transcends just not, amputee football in general. It's any walk of life. I think that culture, the openness, the honesty, and I think I think you would agree with me here. I think we do have, unfortunately, an epidemic when it comes to mental health nowadays. And it's that I don't think as a society we've built a societal culture that allows that, so to speak. And I think what you're doing can be looked at as a microcosm of what the bigger picture could be. So kudos again, Scott, to what you're doing there. This one is a little more specific. I was doing some research and I wanted to ask, it's a little bit outside of the football, but you mentioned you like to be involved in a lot of it. I can only imagine that it costs a lot of money to do this, and doesn't sound like there's professional leagues yet over in the UK for this. What's it like as far as that significant challenge for funding and ensuring that the team has all they need?
That is a huge issue for us and a real challenge. So up to 2016, the FA had the programme. It was under the FA's banner. In 2016, they decided to get rid of the programme. They weren't having much success. There wasn't particularly many amputees engaging within the programme, so they made the decision to get rid of it. So we set up then as a charity from 2016 onwards. And from there, every single person that works within the England Amputee Football Association is a volunteer. So as I mentioned, we've got doctors, we've got sports scientists, we've got analysts, we've got psychologists. The list's endless in and around the programme. I've actually got 20 backroom staff within the men's England team. Now, although they're volunteers, we have England camps, we have to travel to tournaments. So we have to work on people's goodwill and sponsorship and fundraising to be able to run our programs to the standard we want. Now, because we've had some success, the FA now want the program back. Now, the FA are going through quite a lot of transition with their programs at the moment. So it's not the right time for us. We feel as though if we were to move to the FA currently, we would almost be setting the program back a few years because it isn't like what we've got now. The FA want to do something different with the program, which we understand, but we've got to safeguard as well the players and the development that we've gone through since 2016. So the challenge that comes with that is to continually try and find this funding to be able to run the program to the standard we want. We want to go to World Cups, we want to go to European Championships and Nations League, and we want to compete at the very highest level. But unfortunately, that comes at a cost. So yeah, it's a continuous challenge. At the moment, we're going from tournament to tournament, trying to raise whatever money we need. We just come back from the European Championships. Sadly, we got knocked out in the semi-finals to Spain. But we had to go on national television over in England to raise the money for that competition. And we need a model at the moment where we can look at longevity of the programme rather than just going from tournament to tournament. So we don't particularly know what that looks like yet. It could potentially be giving the programme back to the FA. But like I said, for that to happen, it has to be the right package for the players to be able to continue on the journey of development, really.
Man, it's just hearing the challenges with that, and it's still amazing what, to me, having to fight through that kind of situation, it really even leads to me to believe, what a job, you guys are doing. And I think, again, kudos to you and everyone involved for not, I think it'd be really easy to try to turn it back over to the FA and, you know, help with that financial burden. But I think, again, when I hear you speak and I hear about this, everything's about the well-being and safeguarding the players, which I think if you continue to do it from that perspective, I think you'll, you know, you can't go wrong by doing that. So hopefully it does work out. Scott, I think I wanted to end with this. So, you know, looking back now, if you could trade it all in and, you know, trade this in to be a player in the Premier League, would you?
That's a good question, Charles. I think the answer would be no. When I can't regret anything I've done. When I look about everything I've done within my life, it comes with no regret. I enjoy where I am at the moment. I enjoy what I'm doing. If I look at my experiences as a teacher, I wouldn't change any of that. If I look at my experience as a coach, I wouldn't change any of that. I've now set up my business, which has enabled me to step away from teaching. As it stands, I wouldn't change anything with that as well. So I think I've got to a point in my life where I'm comfortable and I'm looking back on some incredible experiences. To stand up at a World Cup as a head coach of a national team and sing the national anthem is something I never thought I'd do. So although it would have been incredible to be a player and that would have probably sent me down different routes, I can't regret anything, Charles. I think I'm happy with the choices I've made and the career path I've chosen.
Yeah, Scott, again, I'm so happy and grateful that you decided to jump on here for a bit, because I think this is a truly inspiring story, not just from your perspective, but just the amputee football team in general. If you had to give a message out to people based on your experience coaching the amputee players, and what could you say to everyone as far as the way they handle their business and as far as what we all could learn from them?
Yeah, certainly resilience. Whatever life throws at you, there's always a way out and there's always a positive that comes out of negatives. I speak to a lot of the players on a regular basis, and you asked me the question there, would I trade being a coach for being a player? I asked the players, would they, given the experience they're having currently, would they go back and change what's happened to them in terms of missing a limb or having the limb deficiency? And you know what? They all say no, because these experiences they're having, they wouldn't have got unless the life had taken them down this route. So yeah, negative things happen, but turning them into positives is crucial.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because when I had the chance to speak to an amputee, they literally, that was their answer. They wouldn't change it. And I'm paraphrasing somewhat, but I think the quote was something like this: I thought I lost a lot, but I ended up gaining so much more. And that really stuck with me. And Scott, this is just, I wish you nothing but the best, and the team nothing but the best. I think you're doing amazing work. And again, it's been really an honor and a pleasure to have you on. That being said, any way people can get involved, help out, check out what's going on with the England Amputee football team?
Yeah, 100%. So we're all on social media. All the different types of platforms are on that. The England Amputee Football Association, and you can also find us through Google on our website as well. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Fantastic. I'll be sure to put some links in the show notes, things like that. Any tournaments on the near horizon? I know the Euros are just happening and just happened, but anything coming up?
Yeah, so we've got next September, so we've got 12 months now to prepare to defend our Nations League title. So everything's kind of gauged towards that now.
Fantastic. Well, again, Scott, thank you so much. I think this whole episode transcends beyond sport. I think it really is a valuable life lesson for people in general. So I hope everyone gets as much out of this as I did. Scott, continue doing the amazing work, and I wish you and the team nothing but the best. Thanks again.
That's great. Thanks for having me on, Charles. Really enjoyed it.
Yep. Thank you. And again, thanks everybody for watching. Please please check out the website for the amputee team. And I know times are tough, but if you can afford something, try maybe a donation, something, any way to help out. So thanks, everyone. Bye.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.